How's it going, guys? My name is Palomore, and in today's quick video, we are going to be looking at how to burst as a Frost Mage in the Shadowlands pre-patch. Let's hop into it. Alright guys, so like the other burst videos I've been doing, we are not going to be using BFA trinkets or essences in this video. These burst videos I'm making are supposed to be very accessible and more focused towards the future of the game versus the current meta. So, looking at the Frost Mage, there's a couple things I want to talk about first. One of those is going to be macros. One macro I would recommend is probably putting a on-use trinket, so whatever PvP badge you'll have, macro that into Frozen Orb, considering that's going to be used at a good burst time and makes you not really have to worry about using your on-use trinket. And you could also maybe stack it with Icy Veins, but we don't know what trinkets exactly are going to be the best ones yet, but that's just something to keep in mind. This is a macro that I use for my orb. Okay, and secondly, I want to look at talents. So, Frost Mage is definitely a class that has some flexibility in terms of talents. They have a couple different viable options, but for the sake of simplicity, this is what I've decided to go with. I think you should be able to find good success with this spec, although there are definitely alternative specs that can work just as well, if not better. So don't quote me on that, but this is definitely something that can do damage. Okay, so with talents and macros set aside, let's talk about what Frost Mage Burst is really quick, and then I'll show you what my burst rotation can look like. So Frost Mage Burst comes from two types of procs really, and those are Fingers of Frost and Brain Freeze. And what these two things do is they empower your abilities when you get procs. So Brain Freeze will let you use Flurry instantly, and Fingers of Frost will make you basically have a super huge Ice Lance whenever you use Ice Lance. It'll basically treat the target as if they're frozen. So one of the big changes in the pre-patch that has really helped Frost Mage out is the change to Brain Freeze, which is this Flurry proc. And basically, if you read in the tooltip, what it will do is it will make your next Flurry instant cast and deal increased damage. I'm pretty sure that's been the same, but it will now apply Winter's Chill to the target. And what Winter's Chill will do is basically make your next two spells treat the target as if they were frozen. Which means if you get a Flurry proc, or a Brain Freeze proc, and you use Flurry on your target, you do not need Fingers of Frost for your Ice Lances to do a ton of damage. Okay, so the last thing before we jump into the actual burst is going to be establishing kind of a spell priority in terms of procs. And your two procs are going to be your Brain Freeze one, which will show at the top, and then Fingers of Frost on the side. If you're in a situation like this, it's very important that you use your Fingers of Frost procs first, because your Flurry is going to make your target take damages if they were frozen anyways. So if you use your Flurry proc first, you're basically wasting your Ice Lance procs. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to show you guys what I think could be a very strong burst opener with the spec that I'm running. So it's basically going to look like a Icy Veins macro with your on-use trinket into a Ray of Frost right away. Fully channeling the Ray will give you two Fingers of Frost procs. You can throw both of these on your targets, and then you can send in your Frozen Orb, and you should continue to get more Fingers of Frost procs generated from that. Unfortunately, Frost does require to cast a lot to do a lot of damage, so if you're gonna almost kill a target, you can always just go for Fire Blast and Arcane Explosion for that small amount of damage, or you could just even spam non-procced Ice Lances. But if you do have the ability to casting Frostbolt's going to really amplify your damage. And outside of that window, it really comes down to your Brain Freeze procs and your Fingers of Frost procs that you get from Frostbolt and managing them like I just explained. So let's hop into that. So it's going to be Icy Vein macro into a Ray of Frost, let it charge fully. You'll have two procs here, throw both of those lances out, and then you're going to toss your orb, and then whenever you get procs, you can use those. If you can cast, you're going to Frostbolt and manage your procs, and if you can't cast, you're just going to use Fire Blast and Arcane Explosion, or unprocced Ice Lances. I'm going to wait 2 seconds for my cooldowns to come back, and I will kind of break that down in slow motion. I know this one might feel overwhelming, but hopefully that can help. Okay guys, so broken down in slow motion, it's going to look like an Icy Veins macro with your on-use trinket into a Ray of Frost. Fully channeling that gives you two Ice Lance procs, so use both of those, throw your Frozen Orb in right away, and every time you get Ice Lance procs, throw those. But if you get a Flurry proc, your priority is going to be using that and using two unprocced Ice Lances first. Other than that, you can pretty much just spam Frostbolt. If you don't want to get kicked on Frost, you can use Fire Blast and Arcane Explosion. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. I just want to say thank you personally to all the new subscribers and everyone that's been leaving feedback on my videos. I do really greatly appreciate it, and it means a ton to me. So thank you for that. I will see you guys next time. Peace.